Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Frank Zakari, and I host a weekly radio show called Life Altering Events. Today, I'm honored to host this Life Altering Event conversation on skills needed in the new workplace with my friend Gina Sharpe. Now, this conversation is brought to you today by the TAG team, which is a collaboration with the Abraham Group, which is headed by Jay Abraham, the most trusted and successful marketing mind in the world, who has increased the incremental business for 10,000 customers by an excess of $21 billion. And my company, Life Altering Events, and we're experts in business organizational development, as well as finance and scaling of organizations. Now, the TAG team members, we've all reached a point in our life where we want to see the next generation not only survive, but to thrive. And this is a very elite and exclusive organization for entrepreneurs who are looking to make an impact on the world and get the best return for their business. If you think you have what it takes, go to my website, frankzakari.com, and get the application details. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you are an employer, you know that the old normal is gone forever. The days of your staff all coming in and you watching them Monday through Friday from 9 to 5, they're done. Many employees will be remote. Many employees may not come back to work for you as we come out of this. Employers are going to need to recruit a different type of employee and look for different types of skills. But what kind of skills? Too many organizations still have job descriptions. They have a wish list of very long wish lists of specific job skills. You have to have Excel, Microsoft Office, and Salesforce, et cetera, et cetera. Why? You can teach those skills once the person's on board. What we're suggesting is look for behavioral skills or character traits or something that's now called soft skills or has been called soft skills for the last few years. These are integrity and patience and persistence, willingness to collaborate. These traits come from within. Well, a couple weeks ago, I had coffee with my friend Gina Sharpe, who's lived and worked overseas and now has real estate business in both Arizona and San Diego. We had a long conversation about the importance of soft skills in the workplace. So Gina, welcome to Life Altering Events.
Thank you so much.
Gina, we've both been in businesses and had businesses that require a lot of frequent and direct customer contact. Now, you have been using and searching for and talking about soft skills before we even had a term soft skills. Why do you prefer these types of people over the highly technically trained?
And I'm not saying I don't like those people. I'm just kidding. So I think really and truly, it goes back to a few years ago, I realized, light bulb went on, that I could literally make conversation with just about anybody. My kids would get really quite annoyed sometimes. We'd be in a queue in the supermarket and I'd be chatting to people and they would tell me things that you just don't hear from a stranger, right? So I was just, why is this? I am innately very curious about people from a really good place. It's not out of anything I want to get out of them. I'm just truly interested in other people, other cultures, how they were raised. I'm a third culture kid. So I was born in one country, raised in one, was raised in Britain, you can probably tell that. And then I live here and I raise my kids in America. And I find people fascinating. My mother dragged us all over the world. I'm eternally grateful for that because we saw literally how other people lived. So I just wanted to get to the bottom of why is it so easy for me? And on the flip side of that, why really it's quite difficult for other people. Because for me, it's like second nature. Now, I know that really is a gift. I do understand that. And I am not technically minded at all. So then started digging into what we now call soft skills, which that's originally actually a term created by the military as the opposite to hard skills. Now, it has this tendency to sound maybe weak, which it's not at all, just because it's not hands-on engineering, fixing things, because it's all the personal interaction side. So I think we all know, even if you are, and I revere these people, a complete programming nerd, you still need some soft skills to deal with either getting the job or interacting once you're in the job, or even just in your everyday life. So I just delved deeper then about, gosh, I want to say best part of nearly 10 years ago, probably heard about what's now known as EI, emotional intelligence,
Right.
which I do find fascinating. And just been studying and studying. And I feel led to really help people, companies, albeit in, big settings or one-on-ones, to help people do these things. Because you want to talk about the job place. Now, you look at a job posting and it says, like you just said, Microsoft Word and this, product management certification. And those are all good. I'm not saying those aren't good. But what people really are looking for are communication, organization, problem-solving skills, teamwork. You know what I mean? Things that are very, quote unquote, soft. And yet you're hiring based on the hard skills. And I'm kind of confused and maybe thinking, oh, did we hire the wrong person? When they are not creative or their interpersonal communication is really not very good, to be quite honest. So that's really the genesis of it all. For me personally, you find somebody just like me, and of course I have tons of friends like this, and we can talk about anything. Now, I'm also a huge reader and I like movies. You can always find something to talk about. And then culturally, which I'm not super good on a lot of different places, even though I have traveled and lived in, I think, all continents, there are some things that are taboo. So in America, all good, you meet somebody and often the topic of what do you do comes up, gosh, within 2 or 3 sentences. That's not really, you know what I mean? That happens all the time. Hi, I'm Gina. Oh, what do you do? And now I find myself doing it as well because it's familiar for people here. But you do that even in Britain, to be honest. You don't go to a party and figure out what everyone does. It's just not done. So that's another layer of the interpersonal, depending upon where you are in the world. And again, in Southeast Asia, completely different as well. So, there's a lot to learn, but in America, it's very much, interpersonal skills, it's communication. I found it interesting that punctuality was a really important thing because I think maybe that's come down a bit. I mean, when I was in school, God, we had to be there 5 minutes early is on time, so those were the layers, right? The disciplines.
I remember.
So it's just easier to talk to people who are like that. And it's not, I was having a conversation with my husband last night, it's not an introvert extrovert thing. Even though, yes, that does come to play, I am, red. I'm extreme extrovert. I have no introvert skills. I'm also highly intuitive though. So, on the Myers-Briggs, the high ID. So you throw all those things in together, but you can be highly intuitive and be an extreme introvert because I have friends like that too. So it's not just that. I get that because introvert extrovert is essentially what fills you up. So I'm energized by people, whereas an introvert needs to go and have some downtime. There's nothing wrong with either of those things, right? You know what I mean? So we can't just shove it into that little box. We can definitely help people who are introverts who still are struggling with just how to maintain a conversation with somebody,
Exactly. When you're screening and interviewing people and you're looking to bring people on, how do you determine if they have, this is going to sound weird, strong, soft skills?
Yeah, I know, exactly. We really need to rename the term because we were talking maybe personal interaction, but that sounds so fluffy. It's like, oh, that just means sitting around and singing Kumbaya, because soft skills is very important. And to answer your question, I think really the number one thing, and I've not done a lot of that because I've done a lot of talking right now, is listen. Listening is so huge. I feel like I was highly advantaged. I went to a crammer college, which means you cram 2 years of college into 1 year because I traveled and I wanted to do a catch up. In one of those classes, I had a bio teacher, had absolutely nothing to do with the science, but he taught us how to listen. And that's kind of a lost art, in my opinion, where we're used to, just running and doing and then stopping. And also, whilst somebody's talking to us, we're thinking about what we want to say rather than listening to what they're saying. So that's the first major thing, because that gives away a heck of a lot, right? If you listen to actually what they're saying. Asking extremely poignant questions, that's a good one. And then, depending upon the person, hurling out answers. And then maybe, I mean, this is like walking through with somebody, you know, has to be like a one-on-one, I suppose.
Yeah.
It's just like challenging somebody with how they feel about an aspect of something. I mean, it's just, it really is. It's going to depend upon the person. It really is. It's just going to be very different. But listening is a huge one.
So many people are trained, here's the standard pat answers. They ask this, you say this. You ask this, you say that.
Yeah.
How do you move them out of that?
The questions, really the questions. So for me, and I'm literally Johnny on the spot, that sounds awful, but every single person is going to have a different answer. So you veer with them and then you find out what their hotspot is. So right now in COVID world, where we've been sheltering at home, a lot of us with only one or two other people, there's a lot of TV watching. So my TV watching is extremely narrow. I read a lot of British mysteries and a lot of business marketing leadership books. That's not great, but I read a lot of other stuff. But TV is one that I'm really not good at, but I'm aware a lot of TV. So I'll watch all the BBC stuff and all the, you know, the period drama pieces, but I'm aware that people are watching, you know, Homeland, or they're watching How I Met Your Mother, because I have kids as well, I ask them. So I veer in there, right? You know, that's true. I try and bring them in with something that's comfortable for them. That really, actually, that is my MO, to be honest. I always want to make people feel extremely comfortable with me, regardless of what that means, because I'm different. I'm different from most people. I really am. I either look different, I definitely sound different from most people. And the way I behave is extraordinary. I mean, the greatest thing in the world for somebody like me is to walk into a room of 1,000 people that I don't know. To have the stage is even better, but then to go through it, right? To go through and actually meet them and to find out something about them. I love that. I absolutely love that. So to find out something, and oftentimes, back to the listening thing, those people never know a thing about me. They're just like going, oh my gosh, she's so weird and loud and English, you know, and that's all they come away with. They know nothing about me. And that's fine. I'm not all, you know, hurt about that. That's not a problem. It's just, that's the reality. So.
In your experience, can you train someone or people to improve on these soft skills, or is it something you either have it or you don't?
No, I think you can. I really do. We've all heard and maybe been on those, you know, team building events where everyone goes and does, you know, doing the zip line together or falling backwards and that all, and that's a trust issue. You can't start at the trust issue though. You have to start talking to each other. But yeah, I do believe that. I believe that you do the typical, the psychology with the mirroring. So you know that somebody's listening to you. There are a lot of different things like that. And they all kind of come under those categories of the team building things. But you also can do exercises on paper. If you've got a room full of people, you sit them at tables together and you start slowly with one-on-ones and then you open it up. But it's all about the back and forth of information. But yeah, I really do. I mean, I think that something like doing that, getting people more comfortable with talking about different issues, world issues, small Hollywood movies, talking back and forth, more relational, and then moving into a locked room scenario. I think that's part of the issue is companies start with the locked room. You know, they go, oh, we're going to do a team building event. And you can tell the people who are introverts who really have no bit, they don't care. And they're just sitting there going, oh, fine. If they want my help, they'll ask me. And they're usually the ones you want to help because they're, you know, they're thinking differently. But that's not the answer to start. So yeah, I do. I mean, I think it starts a lot smaller than that, which takes time and effort. And we have that right now, don't we?
Yeah, we do have time.
And even remotely, a long time ago, like about 5 or 6 years ago, I write as well. And I had a colleague tell me, he goes, you should write a book. And now I'm kicking myself that I didn't finish this. But he goes, you should write a book on leading people remotely because that's the way it's going. Now, of course, nobody knew that we'd be remote, not by choice. but it's really hard for people to stay engaged remotely. I don't mean they're not working, because I think most people probably work harder when they are at home. My husband works 10-hour days regularly, if not more. But it's that connectiveness and feeling like you belong and that you're important as well. That's getting lost, I think, in this.
Yes, we've talked to a few psychologists during this period of time, and there are some people who thrive at being remote, and there are people that are just going absolutely out of their mind being remote. And having that, reaching out as a leader, as you do, and making that connection on a regular basis is critical. Is that right?
That's absolutely right. Yeah. And it's making me go a little stir crazy. Like when we could go only to the supermarket, to the grocery store, that was like a major event. I couldn't wait. I'm like, yes, I'm going to get out. And people are just, especially with masking, it's like our personalities are being sucked away. It's so hard. I remember one time I was in the bakery section and I was looking at something and I knew this woman, I could just tell she was like edging around me. And I looked at her and I go, have you tried this? I mean, I just asked something. Oh, we talked for 15 minutes. I do not know who she is. I mean, hopefully I'll see her again there sometime. But it's soul destroying at that level for some of us. Yes, absolutely. We need it. We need the connection.
Absolutely. It all comes down to, as we've heard for years and years and years, it comes down to relationship, communication, and trust.
Yes, which you can't buy trust. You have to earn it.
Trust has to be earned. Well, ladies and gentlemen, our goal today was to give you hope. Short, sweet, to the point. Now, we're going to get through this. We're going to get through this situation. We're going to come out the other side, and we're going to be better because we have people like Gina who are helping you to develop these soft skills, and maybe we'll come up with a better name than that at some point in time. But please remember this, ladies and gentlemen, when hard times come, like we're going through right now, please do three things. Look up, get up, and never, ever give up. Better times and better people will come into your life. Let me leave you with this last statement, ladies and gentlemen. None of us are in this alone. The secret to walking on water is to know where the rocks are. And today, Gina showed us where many of those rocks are. Any last word, Gina?
Gosh, I wasn't expecting that. No, you nailed it, honestly. But reach out and touch. The song now is in my head. That's funny. But yeah, that really is huge. I totally agree with everything you said. And it is a hopeful time. It really is. We're just going to have to move on and change our perspective a little bit, as we've done every decade, really. I mean, nobody thought we were going to come out of the housing crisis. So, it's going to get better. Yeah,
it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, join us again next week. We're going to have another life-altering event chat. Gina, thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.